If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, joining me right now back in the Octagon, March 30th in Philadelphia, UFC's second card on big ESPN. He's going to take on Michael Johnson in a big featherweight bout. Josh Emmett is here. Josh, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's been quite the road for you to get to this point. The last time we saw you was a little over a year ago. You took on Jeremy Stevens. The fight and the ending of that fight were a bit controversial, but you had suffered some serious injuries in the aftermath of that fight. How are you feeling now as you're less than a month away from getting back in the cage?
Yeah, I feel good. A lot of injuries from the outcome of that fight, but like I've said before, I didn't want to hop in too soon and jeopardize my career. You've seen that time and time again with people. They have a bad concussion, they come back too soon, get another one, and then it ruins their career. And so I wanted to take the necessary time off until I felt good, got back in the gym, I was feeling great, and then I was ready to book a fight.
We've talked a few times over the last couple of years, and I know how much you love the sport. I know how hard you worked to get that call to make it to the UFC. You were a win, maybe two away from possibly fighting for the featherweight title. And I know you took the very smart approach on taking your time and getting back in the cage. But, as a fighter, as a competitor, how difficult has this road been for you to get back to the cage, heal up, and kind of seeing things happen in the organization and in the division while you were forced to sit on the sidelines and heal up?
Yeah, it's definitely, man, it's tough just because, I'm a big fan of the UFC and mixed martial arts anyway. So it's like I watch all the fights. And yeah, it's hard not to just want to hop in there. And especially with my age, I feel like I got into the sport late. So I feel like my window is so short. So I'm going to take, I want to maximize everything. But still, my health is more important, especially for my wife and my family. So yeah, it's definitely tough, but I feel good. So I'm hoping to get a huge win over Michael Johnson. He's a big name. And then that'll put me right back to where I was at, and just keep climbing the rankings.
I talk to fighters all the time, and they tell me, win or lose, every fight, you always learn, you always grow. And, having this time off, has probably given you the chance to reflect on yourself, reflect on your family and your career, I guess. So I guess the question is, what kinds of things have you learned about yourself throughout this path back to the cage?
Yeah, it's, man, from the fight, I learned quite a bit just from the fight itself. And, this has been a tough year for me. Just dealing with all like I said, the injuries and yes, it's been tough. It makes you realize, should I go get another job? Just because I only got paid once last year, so financially it's a struggle for sure. But yeah, no, it's the same people that have been with me since the beginning that are still here. My wife's the biggest supporter, of course, my mom, my in-laws. My core group of friends that I've had, they're always there, but you see people come and go, and I know that's how it is. And, cause I sit on the sidelines and before I was in the UFC and I've seen that happen to other fighters. So it's, still just rolling with the same people that I've always been there with. They're super supportive and I can't wait to get back in there and, put on a show for the fans and back to where I was at.
You just said, throughout all this, you're thinking, maybe I should get another job. Maybe I should get another career. And, as much as you love fighting and as much as you love that you're in the UFC and they're such a big fan of the sport, your family comes first. Did it ever get close to that point where you were thinking about maybe calling it and getting another job? And if so, what kind of conversations did you have with your team, your friends, the people closest to you to kind of decide whether or not that was the right decision for you?
Yeah, no, it never got to that. It never got that close, but it's just going, I'm playing it in my mind just because I got one check. I wasn't feeling that great for quite some time, with vertigo and things like that. And then, that's why it's scary. I put everything into this. I put my whole life into this and, I'm so close to being where I want to be. And then, so I'm going back to just, am I going to be able to fight again? Is this going to, go away? And then once I got to that point, and then the struggle of not having a a consistent income. It's that's the real thing that was kind of hard financially. So that's why I was like, man, I need to do like a side job or something just to get some cash, because there's no job I can do, and then what I'm gonna quit when I get a fight. I have to give that 100%. So I just kind of, we just got by and did what we needed to do. Symptoms and everything went away. I was back in the gym, and yeah, it was time to get back in there.
When did that when did that decision come for you in terms of, you got clearance from the doctors and everything to get to full on training, get on the comeback trail? When did that kind of come to you that, all right, I'm ready to come back, like, let's do this, I'm ready to go?
It was probably, man, I want to say like, I've been coming in the gym here and there, doing a bunch of things, just staying away from live goes and a lot of contact. So probably like October, November is when I really started ramping it up. I was in the gym, I was helping Chad get ready for a fight. And then, I've just been, helping teammates and just trying to like ease back into things and just turn it up, as as I felt better and everything's been going according to plan.
Now you get Michael Johnson on the 30th in Philadelphia. Michael had a very interesting run at 155 pounds, took some tough losses against some of the cream of the crop of that division, and decided to make his way down to featherweight, where he's won a couple in a row. When you heard Johnson's name as the guy, how did you react to that?
Yeah, no, I took it. At first it was going to be, they offered me someone in front of me. I was ranked a little higher. I took that, but then unfortunately he got injured. And then they threw out a few other names, that guys that were behind me, tough guys, but it really did nothing for me to, if I get a win over them, I don't move anywhere. It does nothing for me. But then Michael Johnson was in the picture, and I took that just because that's going to be the toughest fight. Like you said, he's fought the cream of the crop at 55s. He was ranked, fourth in the lightweight division. He's beat, three of the guys that are in the top five, Ferguson, Poirier, Barboza, and then he's fought like Nate Diaz and all these guys. He's a great fighter, and that's what I just feel like. I want these tough fights, going back to me in a short window, in short window, I mean, maybe 4 or 5 years. But these other guys that are in their early 20s, they have plenty of time to develop and make their name. I want to go in there. I've never had anything handed to me. I've never had an easy path, and I don't want that. So I want the toughest fight, and this will make the most noise, especially with the win over Michael Johnson, such a seasoned veteran. Since
there was an injury involved, can you share who they offered you first?
Yeah, it was Bektic, Mirsad Bektic.
Okay.
So they offered me him, and since he was in front of me, I wanted that fight. He's a great fighter. I thought stylistically we matched up very well. Just because we're both explosive strikers on our feet, good wrestlers, and I thought that was going to be exciting for the fans. But then they offered me Michael Johnson, and I thought that's more exciting for the fans. So.
Yes, this has all the makings of a very fun fight. I mean, both you guys like to bang. Both of you guys have had highlight reel knockouts in your career. I mean, this has all the makings to be a fun fight. Do you just see fireworks when you think of yourself and Michael Johnson standing across the octagon from each other?
Yeah, for sure. I know it's the fight game. It's just, I can end the fight at any moment. So can he. So it's like, I have to be smart about it. I can't go in there recklessly, where I can get caught with something. But same thing with him. He's going to have to respect my power once I hit him. So it's going to be, it's going to be a great fight. And I could see this being fight of the night. And I'm just hoping to go in there and get a big win over such a seasoned vet.
After, the injuries and everything you've been through over the last several months, I'm not a fighter, so I'm always fascinated by this stuff, but what's your mentality in terms of, getting hit, having punches and kicks and knees flying at you? Is that something that you're concerned with naturally, or is that something you just try not to think about, or it's not really affecting you at all right now?
Yeah, it's not really affecting me. I've been sparring. I've been doing a ton of, just drills and just work. I've been working. I've done this for a long time, even though I haven't been in the UFC that long. I've been, I put in, over 10 years of, training, let alone since I've wrestled since I was a little kid. So it's, it doesn't bother me at all. It really doesn't affect me. I don't think of yeah, of course I don't want to get kicked in the head with a shin or like a hard elbow or something, but that's the game we're in and the business we're in. So I know I'm going to get hit. I know I'm going to hit him, but yeah, I'm not worried about taking strikes.
This division has gotten really interesting at 145 pounds. We've seen, legends like Jose Aldo lose to Max Holloway a couple times and then go on this really exciting run. And then we've seen guys like Ortega and Volkanovski and Zabit make these strong moves. And now the champion of the division, Max Holloway, is about to fight for the interim lightweight title on April 13th. So how interesting is this division in your eyes right now? Do you feel like there are brand new opportunities, like the door is open at 145, or do you think this division could sort of get held up and held back with Holloway moving up?
No, I think it's the top guys that have been at the top are still at the top. You have Jose Aldo, you have Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson. Those guys have been there and they're sticking around. Then you have like some new blood, like you said, Ortega, Volkanovski. I don't think the division will really get held up. I think the number one contender is Jose Aldo, and Holloway and him have fought a few times, so I don't think they want to make that third fight right now. This is just me thinking about it. So he's going to go up to lightweight. It's a great opportunity for him. It's a win-win. If he were to lose the fight, he doesn't lose his featherweight belt. If he wins, he's a double champ. And then he'll get a fight Khabib, which is going to set him up for more money. It's a business. I totally understand what he's trying to do. And then as far as, I don't know, we'll see what kind of plays out with Jose Aldo and Volkanovski. If Volkanovski wins, then I think he'll come back down and they'll have a new contender, and then they would definitely make that fight. But it's because other than that, Jose Aldo and Max Holloway beat everyone in the division. So that's in title contention. So I don't think it's going to hold up the division or really mess with anything.
I remember talking to you right before the Jeremy Stephens fight, and you had mentioned that the fight kind of favored you because you hadn't really been in any real slugfest. You hadn't been in any real wars. You never really have been beat up in a fight. And people talk about this in college football all the time, like midway through the season, and Alabama will lose to like an LSU. And you think some people will say, oh, LSU beat Alabama, Alabama's in big trouble, while other people will say, well, maybe Alabama just needed that loss to kind of wake them up. So now that you've experienced a fight like that, is it kind of a good thing that you got it out of the way, so now you know what it feels like moving forward?
Yeah, no, I guess so. And it's still just like a hard pill to swallow, but I still feel like I haven't taken any damage besides that's the most damage I've ever taken in a fight. It could have gone the other way. I dropped him in the first round, and I was thinking in my head right then, okay, I got to conserve energy. It's the first round. We have 5 rounds. But I learned from that, whereas he dropped me in the second and he went in for the kill. I should have done that. Yeah, no, definitely. It's like a loss. I've lost in wrestling before. I always said people like, okay, you need to you need to lose to, to learn, and then things like that. And I'm like, I know how losing feels. It sucks. Like I know exactly how that feels. I don't want that. But yeah, as far as getting that out of the way, I hope it doesn't happen again. But honestly, someone's going in there. You're flipping a coin. Somebody's going to lose. You always hope it's not you. So I'm just training as hard as I possibly can, preparing the way I think the fight's going to pan out, and having a lot of people emulate Michael Johnson. I've been going with a lot of long southpaws and getting like some good kickboxing rounds and a lot of boxing.
How does this all play out on March 30th? In Philadelphia, a lot of fighting history, fighting lineage in the city of Philadelphia. How do you see it all going down in Philly against Michael Johnson?
It's always hard for me to call a fight. Like first, if I can, if I can have it my way, first punch I land, that's it. We both go home, no injuries. I get my hand raised, but I know it's going to be an absolute war. I'm ready for 15 minutes of just nonstop action. But yeah, I'm going to get my hand raised on March 30th, and I'm going to get back to where I was at, and then I'm going to, keep moving forward to that title.
I find it really interesting because a year ago, I remember you being on Ariel's show, talking about the aftermath of that fight. And this is maybe before you found out about like all the extensive injuries and everything. And, you had talked about running that one back with Jeremy, and Jeremy kind of looked at it as, well, I already won the fight. No need to run it back. But kind of looking at his career path right now and where you're going, things could line up rankings-wise to have you guys match up again. So let's just say all goes well on the 30th against Michael Johnson. If that opportunity presents itself, is that a fight that you jump on right away?
Yeah, I just have to talk to my coaches and everything. And then, like I said, I'm just taking one fight at a time now. So Michael Johnson's in front of me. I feel like I'm always kind of looking ahead. And that's one of the things that I learned that you're saying from loss. I felt that, I never experienced that. And I was just like, I would go in there and have relatively, after the fights were over, I was like, okay, it wasn't too bad. I was never banged up. I was more banged up from, imposing my will. So I was looking ahead instead of just focusing on the person directly in front of me. So that's all I'm doing now as far as like changing things up a little. That's like my main thing, not worrying about anything else, just whoever's in front of me. I get a big win, then if that's presented to me after, then we'll go from there.
Josh, very happy to see you getting back in there. I'm glad everything worked out health-wise. You were able to heal up, and I'm excited for this fight, man. Before we wrap things up, let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web, social media, shout-outs, sponsors, plugs, etc. Please take the floor.
Yeah, my Instagram and Twitter handle is Josh Emmett UFC, and I have a Facebook page, Josh Emmett, as well. And then just like I said, everyone that's been there since the beginning, everyone knows who they are. I appreciate all them, and this is why I do it. I do it for them, and I'm stoked for March 30th.
Thanks for the time, Josh. All the best to you for the rest of camp and in Philadelphia. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Have a good one.